Metaphysician. What is a metaphysician? Metaphysics. There's a few definitions out there, but it deals basically with the most fundamental questions: who we are, where do we come from, and the greatest question of all. Well, many questions, but one of the questions is God. What is God? God is just the lack of understanding how anything works in the universe. From the universe itself, its creation, its development, uh, its ending, then how we came into existence, planets, galaxies. Uh, it goes very deep to the subtle levels: atoms, particles, subatomic particles, um, quarks, and then who we are, where do we come from, how we come into being. It has always been said, um, because we don't understand how anything is created or comes into existence, we just attribute this to something, a deity or a god. But if there's an explanation on how the universe comes into being, then there's no reason for a god. If you understand how you came into existence, then there's no reason for a god. And if we understand everything in between, how the galaxies, the stars, planets, the sun, the moon came into existence, then there will not be a need for a god. That was the fundamental principle of Stephen Hawking. And at the same time, that was one of the main problems Albert Einstein had, because he couldn't understand how the universe came into existence, and he couldn't understand one of the basic principles of physics. So then he said that God doesn't play the dice or randomness. Stephen Hawking made an elegant solution to the problem of the universe, how it began. And but then what happens, and what happened before? So then in the metaphysics, we deal with that. We go beyond that principle. From there, we also deal with different ideas, how we are born, what makes us come into being, and we take it a little deeper. What happened before we were born? In order to understand that, we need to ask many questions, and that's what in the metaphysics world we deal with. We provide, or we try to provide, answers to pretty much anything that happens in the universe, and then we can postulate many different questions. Who am I? And if you understand who you are and everything that implicates to your existence, and if you understand the precise way that you came into existence, then there wouldn't be a need for a god. Just as in the past, people saw a lightning and they weren't able to understand or explain what was that, but then they say, oh, it was Thor. Okay. And just the same way, they have That's why they have all these gods, the Poseidon, the the god of the seas, um, and all these gods in the mythological ancient world, they attributed to one phenomenon. Um, they assign one god. So then they have many different gods. But now, what happens is that we understand how is it that a lightning, lights up the sky, and physics can explain it. Um, but but when it comes to other parts, other questions such as birth, what happens? And here is the question: what happens before conception? In this topic, it is said, well, right now what is happening is there's abortion, and they believe life begins after the 8th week or so. To provide a quick answer to this, life begins before conception. Now, this needs to be explained, and there's an explanation, really long explanation. But that's what, and as a metaphysician, I have been dealing with for the last 12 years. Understanding how the universe began, how it was created, all the planets, stars, constellations, then human life itself, before birth, the entire life. How is it that there's so much stuff going on? And all the questions. But one of the questions that I focus on is why there is so much pain in this world. When I began to try to understand all these things, it was just try to understand my own pain, why I felt in a certain way, why I was sad, why things happen, why. And at the beginning, the only possible explanation was God. After, not so long ago, but after a few years of so many nights, so many sacrifices, so much reading, studying, and really, really hard work, then I started to understand many things, and all of them, like I said, there was an answer for every single question. And slowly I started to understand all these things, human emotions, and at a point also what happens after dying. Another topic that everybody avoids. Nobody wants to talk about death, but it is there. It is uncertain. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. Yet we make plans for tomorrow. Yet we still live stuck up on the past that already happened, and it brings up emotions, and that's what I deal with. Those emotions. What are those emotions? Where do they come from? How do they arise? How do we process them? And we go beyond that. Like a good metaphysician, the effects that these emotions bring. And on one of my other videos, I said something like delusions, human delusions, feelings or emotions that we live for, feelings or emotions that we kill for, and feelings or emotions that we will die for. And that quote, there's a really long explanation, um, but because of those feelings, of those feelings and those emotions, we become um, self-destructive. I was just talking to somebody right now, and she was complaining that she was not worthy of my friendship. Then I told her, we had a long conversation. I tried to explain her that instead of seeing that attitude, which is self-destructive, she should have analyzed that I have shared so many things with her, so many ideas, and that basically I have done it all for free because I didn't get paid. But because of those emotions, we become angry. We react to things, and we go back again to the beginning of my journey, which was why I had this pain, why I had why these things happen. But it was just all because of emotions. All these emotions that are so self-destructive, that makes us think in a certain way, and then we act and react according to those emotions. And all we do is just react to things. We never stop to think a little bit about what is happening, or about what triggered those emotions, or where do those emotions come from. We just get angry. We become angry. We deal with everybody, and everybody's just angry. And one of the things that I often say is that um, we no longer have um, friends. We mostly have enemies, and we go out in the world, and we interact with people. And if we say something beautiful and meaningful, and they like it, or they said something beautiful and meaningful to us, they become more friends, and we gain friends. But what happens if they say something negative or something we don't like? So they become our enemies. Then we gain enemies. Now all we have is friends and enemies. And one of the things that happens is that your friend one day will say something that you will not like, and that person will become your enemy. And it is funny because a friend can become your enemy, but an enemy will never become your friend. But there are certain cases it will, but most likely it won't. Then we when then we get stuck in this idea of of friends and enemies, and we don't know it. We don't think it that way. That is the gross aspect of it. This is just subtle, very subtle uh, emotional reactions. We don't process it, but in reality, that's how we are living nowadays. And everybody's just angry. Everybody's just angry. Everybody's just reacting, which is which is the whole point of, like I said, getting back on the main idea. That's why I became this. I would say metaphysician, uh, just to try to understand my emotions. And at the same time, I started to understand a lot of things. I understand myself, which is very hard to do. It took a really long time, but everything has an answer. There's an answer for everything, um, and mostly, and more important, not so much, the biggest questions, but the simplest of all, which is how to be happy, how to truly be happy, because we often think that our happiness is based on our emotions, but it is sad that we think of happiness in a certain way, but our perception um, is confused, is distorted. It is it deceives us. It is deception. It is a big deception. Why? Because we start chasing the happiness every day. We wake up, we go and chase it, we go after it, we look for it all day, all night, even in our dreams. We don't even sleep because we're chasing happiness. But the happiness we're looking for, it is deceiving, and it is a deception because we're never happy, we're never satisfied. We want more, we crave more, and that will never end. We will die with that craving, just trying to be happy. And we try to be happy every day. And when we don't get that happiness, we get angry. So then we become angry. And we are angry all the time. And somebody tells us something we don't like, and we start arguing and fighting and all the emotions. And people killing each other, harming each other, and everything because everybody's chasing their happiness. But it's just a delusion. It is a deception. And that's what I do and what I tell people. I try to show them a different way of thinking, and hopefully people will understand those things, those ideas. They're complex. It is hard. It requires a lot of work, especially if no one comes and tells us directly. But it is, like I said, the answers are there. So that's why I'm here, to try to help people that want, the help, that they want to overcome anything. Because once you understand a lot of things, and once you understand everything, you overcome anything. And it is just as simple as that. But it is hard work. It doesn't happen in a few days, weeks. It takes many years of proper knowledge, proper ethics, proper behavior, and those things lack nowadays. Nowadays is just a sad situation, but I hope I can bring hope to someone somehow. And yeah, this concludes the Metaphysician part of this series, and we'll have more.